people too. Okay.
You didn't have Magic's mouth.
So
you didn't
let
have
me go
Magic's
ahead and
mouth.
give some shout outs. Who we got in the chat? We got Looney by Nature, President Jafar, Anthony, Marty, got premium guy in here. Marty, I appreciate you guys. Deadhead 83, Russian bot. What's going on? What's going on? We have an exciting show for you today. It was supposed to be just me today, but Pasta has decided to grace us with his presence. So before we get started with this show, how are you doing, Pasta?
I'm doing good. I mean, thank you for letting me come on today. We were supposed to have Whitney Webb, but we had to reschedule. And I had so much to say and so much to talk about. If you haven't had Whitney Webb on, ladies and gentlemen, or haven't seen her, go see her. She is amazing. Some people call her the Oracle. Some people call her today's modern day Rasputin. They say she's the one who exposed the Wizard of Oz behind the curtain. I just call her Whitney Webb, but she is amazing, and she gives so much nuance to what's going on, and especially after this whole election thing where we're getting attacked for saying these elections are fugazi. I mean, she goes into the deep nuance of what's going on and what the elites are trying to do. So I needed to come on today, and thank you for letting me be here because it's really therapy. I'm going to call you Dr. Niko today.
You know, it's funny. Me and Steve always joking about being the unofficial therapist of, like, you know, the actual left. Mike Fagan, what's going on? See you on Rockfin, my guy. Enough with that 76ers talk, though. We're not. First of all,
the Flyers too.
76ers. He actually said Flyers. Yeah. But it's funny because I'm like 76ers fan. Y'all love 76ers until they do something y'all don't like, and then y'all immediately turn on y'all fans, on y'all players. Every time. It's hilarious to watch. I'm not gonna lie. New York fans, we loyal to a fault. We ride out for our trash players. Like we grew up together. So for the first segment, man, yesterday was Martin Luther King Day, and as expected, we saw a bunch of hypocritical tweets and quotes being put out by neoliberals and neocons alike. But I like to point out neoliberals because, you know, a lot of them are the ones who have been relying on identity politics to propel them into this I guess a winning battle of a culture war that's going on, even though I feel like we're on the outside of it. But they you know, they've been able to play identity politics. And I even saw a photo of someone trying to compare Martin Luther King to Kamala Harris. It was disgusting, I'm not gonna lie. But I didn't actually do a video yesterday because I didn't want it to get buried amongst all the neoliberal jargon. I feel like today is a good day to go back and re-examine exactly what Martin Luther King stood for, and how anyone uplifting somebody like Joe Biden, or even really voting for him, like boldly, because I know some people like want to announce it like it makes them better people. You're hypocritical. You shouldn't be quoting Martin Luther King. Stop pretending like his legacy meant anything to you, other than other than for purposes of your own branding, or to appear as if you are more woke than you are. I wanted to point really quick to this article in the Gazette, where it just talked briefly about some of the things that Martin Luther King went through on behalf of the state. Okay. In 1965, at the height of King's crusade, his critics, who were many, called him a quote-unquote communist. Be sure of this. Getting slandered with inaccurate names is part of the price, yesterday and today, for battling for change in America. Lerone Martin, a professor at Washington University in St. Louis, is finishing a book that reveals how the FBI smeared King as a communist. You can claim someone as a communist, and that means they are anti-America, and you can completely write their claims as anti-American, Martin says by phone from his home. So basically he was giving just a description of why they called him a communist. It had nothing to do with his economics beliefs, had nothing to do with his social beliefs. It was merely because he was an impactful figure who was trying to push the country left on civil rights issues, and our country was indeed, and largely still is, ran by white supremacists. And because they could not beat him on the merits of his words, they had to smear him with using McCarthyist smears. And Pasta, I would like to get your read on this, because right now, once again, we were seeing those same people who engage in neo-McCarthyist smears throw around MLK's name as if they actually stood for or understood what he went through.
Yeah, we saw those tweets out there yesterday. Really disturbing. You know what I'm saying? Once again, trying to align Martin Luther King with the neoliberals, and that's exactly what he was fighting against. You know what I'm saying? Him and Malcolm X always talk about watch out for the white liberal man. You know what I'm saying? That's the sneaky one. But, I find it interesting, too, as well. We keep on talking about the whole communist thing, whatnot, and it's not about, when a lot of these people like Fred Hampton, Martin Luther King, talked about communism, it was about their economics, about the workers having more rights. It really had nothing to do with the authoritarian part or just one party making a decision over the other. And it's very interesting to see the neo-McCarthy smear party try to align themselves with them. I even saw one of the Avengers, I don't like the Hulk anymore, saying some stuff as...
man, broke my heart.
I know, dude, but I mean, like these people are, and the whole questioning of the elections thing is still going on. You know what I'm saying? And if you question the elections, you're a domestic terrorist. And if you question this, you're a domestic terrorist. Same thing the right did too, as well. Their whole fearfulness of communism. They're trying to turn this into a communism state. But people who tear down statues are domestic terrorists and Antifa terrorists. It's like both sides are pitted against each other. And great people like Martin Luther King were the ones who said they sifted out all the bullshit on top and said that we have to come together as Americans, as people. Remember, they killed him after the Poor People's Campaign when he started bringing people together, and they were like, oh, wait, what's going on? And I also want to point out, too, as well, the lack of nuance and the lack of knowledge from the left when it comes to foreign policy is disgusting. Mm-hmm. Martin Luther King spoke about imperialism beyond Vietnam, okay? Yeah. And as he started getting it, and he used to say, we are intertwined with our foreign policy. What we do over there reflects how we are over here. And people didn't pay attention to that. So it's really kind of crazy yesterday seeing a lot of these neoliberals try to attach themselves as the party of Martin Luther King Jr. And people on the right, Republicans who oppose elections, they're the enemy. So it was a very sad day seeing a lot of that stuff yesterday too as well.
In a tweet that Paz is referring to is Mark, what's his name?
Mark Ruffalo.
No, the guy who originally tweeted, Alex Rubinstein or something like that.
Kyle Griffin.
There you go. It was Kyle Griffin. Kyle Griffin tweets out, the same Republicans who were challenging the election are now celebrating Martin Luther King Day. And I'm like, what? And then Mark Ruffalo quote tweeted him, basically concurring with what he is saying. Yeah, I'm like, what does that have to do with MLK at all?
Exactly.
And if you asked MLK, he would probably say that we absolutely do not have secure elections, and that this is a problem that is non-unique on the left or the right, for Democrats or Republicans. He would say that both parties are guilty of using his name in vain and for their own personal benefit, while constantly ignoring the principles that he espoused. That's exactly what he would say. And he would probably be more radical today than he was before, given, once again, just how they tried to whitewash, not just him, but really they tried to whitewash everybody. Martin Luther King, even JFK, Malcolm X. They don't even want to teach you about Fred Hampton. They never talk about, things like Black Wall Street. That's a new phenomenon, like that people are actually discussing that. Or the Wilmington Massacre. Kyle and Crystal's show actually brought that up. They said they didn't know about it. The only reason I knew about it is because I lived in North Carolina and I went to a history museum, and that's the only place I ever saw it talked about. So Martin Luther King would probably be more radical today than he was in the past. And it is very, very, it's disgusting, right? Our government murdered Martin Luther King. They were found guilty in the court of law for doing so. The disdain for Martin Luther King was prevalent on both sides. And he himself made it clear who he felt was actually the biggest obstacle. For everybody that likes to attack me or Fiorello or Pasta or all these or other people of color who are trying to explain to y'all why we have to make sure we hold the Democratic Party accountable, Martin Luther King explained it well. He basically said that white moderates are the biggest obstacle to true equity and equality in this country. He said that.
Because they are the duped. They are the confused. They are the ones that have been herded into the party thinking that they're there with their virtuality coke, their virtuous, their virtue signaling of sorts, that they're doing the right thing, that it's okay to censor other people or shut them down because they're doing it for a good cause. No, they're the ones who are being duped. You know what I'm saying? Keeping everybody separated, whatnot. And let me tell you something. The deep state or the elites or whoever's running this whole goddamn thing, they really learned from Martin Luther King Jr., Fred Hampton, and Malcolm X. By the way, our government assassinated all of them, right? I mean, we know for sure for MLK and Fred Hampton, the way the FBI gave up the blueprints to the Chicago Police Department to go up there and execute that man at 21. They've learned, though. And they've learned by controlling the media, making sure figureheads like that get pushed down below, and you don't hear them, you don't see them. They're not promoted, they're not hired, they're demonetized. They're making sure voices like Martin Luther King Jr., Malcolm X, and Fred Hampton never see the light of day. And they promote other people in their places, because it's not just about censoring somebody from keeping them quiet. It's making sure that their voice goes forward. The elites, the mainstream, whatever you want to call it nowadays. And it's sickening to see these people on TV talking about Trumpers needing to be reprogrammed. Yes. I mean, it's a scary point of view, but it all comes down to they learn they ain't going to let another Malcolm X get out there. You know about Hawk Newsom. I talk about him all the time, right? The old Black Lives Matter in New York, who walked into a Trump rally with 6 activists. They let him speak, and everybody was hugging and chanting USA together. This type of solution is to bring people together. Well, Black Lives Matter, the leadership at top, removed his ass because they were told to remove his ass or they would get their funding cut, you know what I'm saying? Because they don't want voices like that moving forward who bring people together.
Yeah. And there's so many voices of divisiveness out there. Someone who actually advocates to bring people together and can change hearts and minds. They are a problem to an economic ecosystem that has basically profited off of divisiveness, right? So it's like, yeah, the elites don't want us to come together, because then of course we'll coalesce and realize it was actually them that have caused all these problems. But also there is a whole there's a whole ecosystem dedicated to divisiveness. When you're looking at people like TYT, Sam Cedar, Emma Vigilant, they're just a group like CNN, MSNBC, Fox News. These programs are dedicated to making you fear and hate and blame the other side, rather than saying, well, hold on, how can I change anyone's mind if I'm not talking to them? Because like this idea, by the way, that black people should never talk to a white supremacist ever, which by the way, that's stupid. Like, once again, you can't change anybody's heart or mind by never communicating with them and then just pretending like they don't exist. Like it's dumb, but it's privilege. Because you mostly see white people saying this, by the way. This white, once again, these latte liberals.
Like a black man shouldn't go on OAN and talk about reparations.
Because they have the privilege. They say,
Niko, how dare you? And you took a picture with Jack Prosabiak. How dare you, Niko? But I don't understand that. Listen.
Well, hold on. I'm saying they're saying you can't align with the other side. Motherfucker, we're 13% of the population in this country. You think we get anything done by pretending like the other side doesn't exist? Like, we don't have that. We don't have the, like, there are more Hispanics than like African-American black people. Okay. and it's way more actually, because that's just black people. We're 13%. So that's not even including, that's including the black Latino community. Okay. So like, we don't have this time to play this game of, I don't like what they said and they make me uncomfortable, and therefore I'm going to pretend like they don't exist, even if it stops me from actually achieving true equity. Fred Hampton rejected this notion. Martin Luther King rejected this notion. Many of the great black activists rejected this notion because they understood this as well. Let me get some of these super chats, Poss, and I'll let you wrap up that segment. Emblem Fate. I found neoliberals more racist than the KKK. They erased our history, killed our leaders. Lumumba and replaced, ex-Lumumba and replaced and erased them with neoliberal and colonialism. I mean, to be honest with you, though, that's kind of like a neoliberal and neocon thing. But I would say that personally, I've experienced more racism from neoliberals, like directly, and neo-progressives too. Marty Castle, thank you for the super chat. I am of the firm belief that if we, the people, initiate a sit-in strike for Biden's first 100 days, we'll bring light to the issues of that our countries face today. If we can get some coverage, I know Sam Cedar might not like it because Jimmy's mean. And then Brian Dutch on Rock.
Brian Deutsch.
Appreciate you. Good to listen to you both. Much appreciated. Glad you're here. Shout out to everybody on the Rockfin team. But go ahead, Pasta. What you want to say to finish up that segment?
That's Brian Deutsch. He was going to be one of the original members of the Convo Couch before we even had the name. He sat down with us. He's a DP. He's a great guy. He couldn't do it because he had his work. He was so committed to his work. Me and Fiorello, we went off and did our own thing, but we got a lot of advice and help from Brian Deutsch, and now he's all about the Rockfin, and he's giving love, and I want to say thank you to Brian Deutsch. But, Niko, I just want to close out this subject by saying a few things, too, as well. I don't get as mad sometimes after when it comes to a lot of these neoliberals, these white liberals, that these men, who have this kind of like white savior, white knight complex and stuff like that. There's a lot of white guilt there. There's a lot of white guilt. They didn't grow up with people of color as friends, I think, a lot of them. So what they think they are doing is right, but it's goddamn wrong. You know what I'm saying? And I just feel sorry for a lot of them because they don't know. They don't understand. And they think what they're doing is the right thing to do. They think they're standing up against racism by treating people of color differently. You know what I'm saying? Where I learned that at a young age, like, hey, man, I'm you, you're me. You don't treat me differently. We judge each other by our content and our character, not by the color of our skin. So it was, being an Italian kid growing up in South Florida, it was a little bit different, and I had a little different understanding. I see a lot of these people that have this white savior complex, these white knights, they just never grew up with people of color, I think, and they think they're doing the right thing.
I feel like you're giving a lot of these people more the benefit of the doubt. See, I used to feel the same way, like they weren't doing this on purpose or maliciously, but at recent events have convinced me basically that these people they're very aware of what they're doing, and because of some of the vitriol that I've experienced, or that Fiorella's experienced, or Brianna Joy Gray's experienced, we literally will have white people telling us that we are the problem and we are perpetuating white supremacy because we won't fall in line with literal white supremacists on the left or in the Democratic Party. And so and they are doing this, literally there were people defending a racist because they had some personal beef with me. And the conversation where they were defending the racist was about racism and white supremacy. And they dead ass decided, I'm going to attack this black person because he won't agree with me and he won't just bow down to the Democratic Party like I will. So the quote unquote white saviorism, I don't believe that they think that they're doing the right thing. They're just trying to make it look like they're doing the right thing because they want the credit. They want to be patted on the back. They want to be considered woke. They want the jobs that come with that, be looking like you're holier than thou. I don't believe it's by accident. I don't think that there are some cases. There are very rare cases where somebody thinks that they're doing the right thing.
I think I'm kind of referring to the people that I know, that we know, that I like and stuff and whatnot. And, I'm not going to name names and stuff. But you know what, Niko? I'm going to bring this up at the next White Guys meeting. I'm going to let them know. Straighten this shit out. They got to stop this shit.
I appreciate that, man. So speaking of working with the other side to bring people over into the light, I'm going to show everybody this clip really quick of Jimmy Dore, who convinced Tucker Carlson that Assange should be pardoned. Couldn't believe it, but it happened. So let me pull up this clip for you guys while Pasta does his
when you get it on, I'll